The crystalline spires of Aetheris Prime glimmered in the light of twin suns as humanity's delegation approached the Galactic Council headquarters. The year was 2175, and after decades of interstellar exploration, Earth had finally been granted an audience with the 18 species that governed known space. Ambassador Mara Lynn stood at the viewport of the diplomatic vessel, Horizon, her reflection superimposed over the alien cityscape below. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her blue diplomatic uniform bore the emblem of United Earth. Quite the sight, isn't it? Governor Chungmei Ortiz joined her at the viewport. Though technically Mara's superior, the governor had deferred to her expertise throughout their journey. Hard to believe we're the first humans to see this. They've kept us at arm's length for so long, Mara replied, studying the spiraling architecture below. I can't help but wonder why they finally invited us. Perhaps they realized we aren't going away. The governor's smile didn't reach her eyes. The preliminary reports suggest they're concerned about our rapid expansion. Mara nodded. In the 50 years since humans had achieved faster-than-light travel, Earth had established colonies on 12 worlds, a pace that apparently unsettled the Galactic Council. Well, that's why we're here, to reassure them and secure our place at the table. The transport shuddered slightly as they entered the docking bay of the Council headquarters. Mara took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. Years of diplomatic service had prepared her for high-stakes negotiations, but nothing quite like this. Humanity's future among the stars hung in the balance. Remember, Governor Ortiz said quietly as the airlock cycled. We need trade agreements and hyperspace route access. Without those, our colonies will struggle to survive. I understand. Mara's voice was steady, betraying none of the anxiety churning in her stomach. We'll get what we need. The airlock hissed open, revealing a delegation of alien representatives. At the forefront stood a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin that shifted colors with each movement. Ambassador Lind, Governor Ortiz. The alien's voice was melodious, translated through the neural implants all the human delegates wore. I am Zephyr, liaison to the Council. Welcome to Aetheris Prime. Mara stepped forward, offering the greeting gesture they had been briefed on, hands open, palms forward. On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, we thank you for this opportunity. Zephyr's skin rippled with blues and purples, which Mara hoped signified positive emotions. The Council awaits. Please follow me. As they processed through the vaulted corridors, Mara couldn't help but marvel at the advanced technology seamlessly integrated into the architecture. Gravity fields shifted subtly as they walked, accommodating the diverse physiologies of Council species. Light emanated not from fixtures, but from the crystalline walls themselves, adjusting to optimal wavelengths for each passerby. How long has the Council existed? Mara asked, partly from genuine curiosity, partly to establish rapport. The first compact was signed nearly 4,000 of your years ago, Zephyr replied. Though the current configuration, 18 member species, has been stable for only the past century. Governor Ortiz raised an eyebrow. And how many species have applied for membership in that time? A flicker of orange crossed Zephyr's skin. Yours is the first in this cycle. They reached an enormous set of doors that seemed to be made of living metal, swirling with patterns that reminded Mara of DNA helixes. Zephyr placed a hand against the surface, and the patterns reorganized, forming an opening. The Council of 18 awaits, Zephyr announced, then stepped aside. Mara exchanged a glance with Governor Ortiz, then led the way into the chamber beyond. The council chamber defied human architectural understanding. The ceiling soared hundreds of meters overhead, yet somehow felt intimate. 18 ornate platforms hovered at various heights around a central speaking dais, each occupied by representatives of the member species. Some were vaguely humanoid, others utterly alien, from crystalline entities to what appeared to be sentient gas clouds contained in elaborate exoskeletons. "Approach, humans," called a voice that seemed to reverberate directly in Mara's mind, rather than her ears. The speaker was a massive being with multiple limbs and eyes that glowed with inner light. "I am Chancellor Vorex of the Xel, current head of the Galactic Council." Mara and Governor Ortiz stepped onto the central dais, which immediately rose several meters into the air, positioning them at the focal point of the 18 platforms. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council," Mara began, her voice clear and unwavering. "We come before you with profound gratitude for this historic opportunity. Humanity has long looked to the stars with wonder, and now that we walk among them, we seek to join your esteemed assembly as partners in peace and progress." A low murmur rippled through the chamber as the various species communicated in ways both vocal and telepathic. Chancellor Vorex raised 2 of his 6 limbs, and silence fell. "Ambassador Lind, Governor Ortiz, the Council has monitored your species' development for centuries. Your invitation here was not extended lightly, nor without significant debate." The Chancellor's glowing eyes fixed on Mara. "Before we proceed to your petition, the Council has questions regarding human expansion patterns and technological development." For the next 3 hours, Mara fielded increasingly pointed questions from the Council members. The Altarian matriarch, a being of living light named Celera, seemed particularly concerned about human military capabilities. The Drax Consortium, represented by 3 linked individuals, questioned Earth's resource consumption. The Vul Imperative, Reptilian and Stern, demanded explanations for human incursions into what they claimed were protected star systems. Throughout it all, Mara maintained her composure, explaining that humanity sought only peaceful coexistence and fair access to trade and travel routes. Governor Ortiz provided supporting data, highlighting Earth's unified government and commitment to sustainable development. As the questioning finally subsided, Mara felt a glimmer of hope. While several council members had been openly hostile, others, particularly Matriarch Celera and the silicon-based Kith, had seemed receptive to human arguments. "The Council will now deliberate," Chancellor Vorex announced. "You will be summoned when a decision is reached." The central dais lowered, and Zephyr appeared to escort them to a waiting chamber. "That went as well as could be expected," Governor Ortiz murmured, once they were alone. "Though the Vul and the Drax seem predisposed against us." Mara nodded, reviewing her mental notes. "The Altarian matriarch might be an ally, though. And did you notice how the Kith representative reacted when we mentioned our quantum computing breakthroughs?" "Yes. There might be technological exchange possibilities there." The governor paced the waiting room, which, like the rest of the council headquarters, seemed designed to accommodate various physiologies, with seating options ranging from traditional chairs to anti-gravity fields. "How long do you think they'll deliberate?" "Impossible to say. Their concept of time might be very different from—" The door dissolved, revealing Zephyr, whose skin now pulsed with dark reds and blacks. "The Council requests your immediate return." Mara and Governor Ortiz exchanged concerned glances. Such a quick decision couldn't be good news. They re-entered the council chamber, which now seemed darker somehow. The crystalline walls dimmed to a somber glow. As the central dais rose once more, Mara noted that the platforms of the 18 council members had drawn closer together, forming a more unified and intimidating front. Chancellor Vorex's eyes pulsed with cold light. "Representatives of Earth, the Council has reached its decision regarding humanity's petition for membership." Mara straightened her shoulders, preparing for difficult negotiations. What she wasn't prepared for was the Chancellor's next words. "By a vote of 16-2, the Galactic Council has determined that humanity represents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. Your petition is not merely denied. Your species is hereby placed under interdiction." Interdiction? Governor Ortiz stepped forward. Chancellor, there must be some misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding, interrupted the Vul representative, his scaled face contorted in what might have been disgust. Your species expands too rapidly, develops technology too recklessly, and shows insufficient deference to established galactic protocols. We weren't even aware of these protocols until recently, Mara protested. We've had minimal contact with council representatives. How can we be judged for failing to follow rules we weren't informed of? Murmurs rippled through the chamber again, and Mara thought she detected some support from at least a few members. Matriarch Solera's luminous form pulsed with what might have been agitation. The terms of interdiction are as follows, Chancellor Vorex continued, ignoring Mara's objection. Human vessels are barred from all Council-regulated hyperspace routes. Trade with Council worlds is prohibited. The quarantine boundary will be established at the edge of your home solar system. All extrasolar human colonies must be abandoned within 1 standard galactic year. This is outrageous! Governor Ortiz's composure finally broke. Our colonies are home to millions of people. Abandoning them is not only impractical, it's inhumane. Your internal matters are not the Council's concern, the Chancellor replied coldly. The decision is final. Mara stepped forward, her mind racing. Chancellor, esteemed Council members, I implore you to reconsider. Humanity has always sought peaceful coexistence with other species. If there are concerns about our development or expansion, let us address them through dialogue and cooperation, not isolation. The human speaks of peace while their vessels carry weapons, hissed the Vul representative. They speak of cooperation while they claim worlds without consultation. We armed our ships for defense only, Mara countered, and we've settled only uninhabited worlds, harming no one. Enough! Chancellor Vorex's voice boomed through the chamber. The decision stands. You have been granted the courtesy of a direct pronouncement. Now you will depart. Matriarch Solera's form brightened suddenly. I move for a reconsideration. The punishment exceeds the offense. The silicon-based Kith representative added its support. Seconded. Full interdiction without prior warning violates precedent. For a moment, hope flared in Mara's chest. But then, the Drax Consortium spoke, their 3 voices in perfect, chilling harmony. The vote has been taken. 16-2. Procedurally, reconsideration requires a 2/3 majority. Chancellor Vorex nodded. The motion for reconsideration fails. Humans, you have been given our judgment. Enforcement protocols are already in effect. Your vessel will be escorted back to your home system, after which all Council space will be closed to you. This isn't justice, Mara said, her voice quiet but carrying through the chamber. This is fear. You fear what you don't understand, and rather than seek understanding, you choose exclusion. History will judge this decision harshly. Your opinions are irrelevant, the Chancellor replied. This audience is concluded. The central dais began to lower, but Mara wasn't finished. Remember this day, she called to the assembled council. Remember that you had an opportunity for partnership and chose isolation instead. Humanity will survive without you, and we won't forget. As they were escorted from the chamber, Governor Ortiz gripped Mara's arm. That wasn't exactly diplomatic, she murmured. Diplomacy failed, Mara replied, her voice tight with controlled anger. Now, we need to focus on what comes next. What came next was a humiliating escort back to Earth. The Horizon was flanked by 2 Council enforcement vessels, sleek predators that monitored their every movement. Upon reaching the Sol system, the Council ships deployed a series of hyperspace inhibitor buoys, advanced technology that would prevent human ships from accessing the faster-than-light corridors that connected Council worlds. As Earth appeared on the view screen, blue and beautiful against the blackness of space, Mara felt a complex mixture of relief and dread. They were home, But they were also trapped, and the millions of humans on distant colonies were now effectively stranded. "We need to convene an emergency session of the Global Parliament," Governor Ortiz said, as they prepared to disembark. "The situation is dire, but not hopeless." Mara nodded. Though she wasn't sure, she agreed with the governor's assessment. The colonies can be self-sufficient in the short term, but without supply lines and reinforcement. "We'll find a way," Governor Ortiz said firmly. "This isn't the end of humanity's journey to the stars. It's barely the beginning." As they stepped off the horizon, onto Earth soil, they were met by a delegation of grim-faced officials, including General Rajiv Singh, commander of Earth's defense forces. His tall frame was rigid, with barely contained fury. "Is it true?" he demanded without preamble. "The Council has expelled us?" "Worse than that," Mara replied. "They've placed us under interdiction. No access to hyperspace routes. No trade with Council worlds. And they're demanding we abandon our colonies." General Singh's face darkened. "And how do they propose to enforce these demands?" "Their technology is far beyond ours," Governor Ortiz cautioned. "The hyperspace inhibitors alone demonstrate capabilities we can only dream of." "For now," the general replied ominously, "nothing remains beyond human reach forever." The emergency session of the Global Parliament was as contentious as Mara had feared. Representatives from the colony worlds, participating via quantum entanglement communicators, were particularly vocal. "Nueva Terra refuses to be abandoned," declared Representative Santos, her holographic image flickering with the strain of communication across 20 light-years. "We've built a life here. Our children were born here. We will not leave." Similar sentiments were expressed by representatives from all 12 colony worlds. The message was clear. Humanity would not retreat from the stars. Council dictates be damned. After 3 days of heated debate, a consensus finally emerged. Earth and her colonies would defy the Council's interdiction. Resources would be redirected to achieve 3 primary goals: developing alternative FTL technology that didn't rely on Council-controlled hyperspace routes, strengthening defenses against potential Council enforcement actions, and establishing self-sufficiency for all human settlements. In a historic vote, the Parliament granted emergency powers to Governor Ortiz, effectively making her the supreme authority for all of humanity during the crisis. Her first act was to appoint Mara Lind as Minister of Interspecies Relations, a somewhat ironic title given the circumstances, but one that acknowledged Mara's unique experience with the Galactic Council. "We need to identify potential allies," Mara explained to her newly formed team, a diverse group of diplomats, xenolinguists, and intelligence analysts. The Council vote was 16-2, with the Altarians and the Kith opposing interdiction. They could be sympathetic to our cause. "How do we contact them when we're cut off from Council space?" asked one of the analysts. Mara smiled grimly. "The Council established inhibitor buoys around Sol, but they can't possibly monitor every approach to every colony world. We'll find the gaps in their net." Meanwhile, Governor Ortiz had assembled the brightest scientific minds from Earth and the colonies, led by theoretical physicist Dr. Arjun Patel and tactical systems expert Lieutenant Commander Elena Voss. Their mandate was ambitious: develop technologies that would free humanity from dependence on Council infrastructure. "The hyperspace routes used by the Council are essentially cosmic shortcuts," Dr. Patel explained during a briefing 6 months into the project. His lean frame vibrated with barely contained excitement. "But they're not the only way to achieve faster-than-light travel. We've been studying dark matter interactions and quantum field manipulations." "In plain language, Doctor," Governor Ortiz prompted, "we believe we can create our own FTL corridors," he said. "Different from hyperspace routes, potentially faster, and, most importantly, undetectable by Council sensors." Lieutenant Commander Voss picked up the thread. "Simultaneously, We're developing quantum neural interfaces that will allow human pilots to navigate these corridors with unprecedented precision. The preliminary tests are promising. Time frame? General Singh asked bluntly. Dr. Patel and Lieutenant Commander Voss exchanged glances. 2 years for a working prototype, Dr. Patel said. Perhaps 4 for full implementation. The colonies don't have 4 years, General Singh objected. Council enforcement patrols have already begun harassing our outer settlements. Then we'll need to buy time, Governor Ortiz said, turning to Mara. What's the status of your diplomatic initiatives? Mara activated a holographic display showing a map of known space. We've established clandestine contact with elements within both the Altarian and Kith civilizations. They're sympathetic but constrained by Council protocols. However, we've identified several independent trading outposts operating at the fringes of Council influence. They're willing to serve as intermediaries. For a price, I assume, General Singh said darkly. Of course, Mara acknowledged. But it's a price worth paying. Through these channels, we're receiving technical data and rare materials that Dr. Patel's team needs. And intelligence, added one of Mara's analysts. Our sources indicate growing divisions within the Council. The interdiction of humanity has become controversial, with several member species questioning the precedent it sets. Governor Ortiz nodded thoughtfully. So we have potential allies, technological progress, and time, though not as much as we'd like. We need a show of strength, something to demonstrate that humanity won't be easily contained. General Singh leaned forward. I might have just the thing. The opportunity came 3 months later, when pirates, operating with the tacit approval of the Vul Imperative, attacked a human supply convoy bound for the colony on Proxima Centauri B. Captain Luis Reyes, commanding the defense cruiser Defiant, faced a critical decision. We're outnumbered 3-1, his tactical officer reported as the pirate vessels closed in. Standard protocol would be to withdraw and protect the colony itself. Captain Reyes studied the tactical display, noting the pirate formation. They're expecting us to retreat, he said. Let's disappoint them. Prepare to engage. What followed would later be celebrated as the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the first significant human victory against hostile forces in the post-interdiction era. Through brilliant tactics and the creative use of Earth's limited technology, Captain Reyes managed not only to protect the convoy, but to capture one of the pirate vessels intact, along with its Council-derived technology. News of the victory spread quickly through human space, providing a much-needed morale boost. More importantly, the captured vessel and its technology accelerated Dr. Patel's research significantly. This changes everything, he told Governor Ortiz excitedly. Their propulsion system uses principles we hadn't considered. We can adapt this, improve upon it. Similar breakthroughs were occurring on Nueva Terra, where colonists had developed advanced terraforming techniques that exceeded even Earth's capabilities. Without Council restrictions on environmental modification, the colonists had pursued aggressive adaptation strategies, transforming their harsh world at an unprecedented rate. The Council would call this reckless, remarked Dr. Patel, as he reviewed the reports from Nueva Terra. But the results speak for themselves. They've achieved in 2 years what the Council protocols would have stretched to 20. Necessity breeds innovation, Lieutenant Commander Voss observed. Without the Council's safety net, or their restrictions, we're pushing boundaries we never would have approached otherwise. This pattern repeated across human space, freed from Council regulations and forced to be self-sufficient. The colonies were developing unique solutions to their particular challenges. Earth served as the nexus, gathering these innovations and redistributing them throughout human territory. 3 years after the interdiction, humanity had not only survived, but begun to thrive in isolation. Dr. Patel's dark matter drive was operational, providing faster and more efficient travel than the Council's hyperspace routes. Lieutenant Commander Voss's quantum neural interfaces had revolutionized both navigation and information processing, and Mara's diplomatic efforts had established a shadow network of trade and intelligence that circumvented the Council's blockade. But General Singh remained unsatisfied. "We've adapted to survive," he argued during a strategy session. "Now, we need to prepare to fight." "Fight?" Mara challenged him. "The Council has 18 member species, each with technology still beyond our reach in many areas. We can't win a direct confrontation." "Not yet," the general conceded. "But their interdiction has shown their true nature. They fear competition. They fear change. Sooner or later, they'll move from containment to elimination. We need to be ready." "I disagree," Mara said firmly. "Our intelligence suggests growing support for reconciliation within the Council. The Altarians and the Kith have been joined by the Myriad Collective and even elements of the Drax Consortium in questioning the interdiction policy." "Politics," General Singh dismissed with a wave of his hand. "While politicians debate, warships are built. The Vul have increased their fleet strength by 30% in the past year alone. Both perspectives have merit. Governor Ortiz intervened before the argument could escalate further. We'll continue diplomatic efforts while simultaneously strengthening our defenses. Humanity will extend one hand in friendship while keeping the other near our weapons." This balanced approach defined the next phase of human development. Military research proceeded alongside diplomatic initiatives, with breakthroughs in both areas. The dark matter drive evolved into the temporal phase disruptor, a defensive technology that could temporarily shift enemy vessels partially out of normal space-time, neutralizing them without destruction. Meanwhile, Mara's network of allies within Council space continued to grow, providing crucial intelligence and technological insights. 5 years after the interdiction, a pivotal moment arrived. A Council patrol fleet, led by Vul commanders, pursued a human merchant vessel into the system, nicknamed the Cyclopean Rift, a region of space where unusual gravitational phenomena created natural hiding places. Unknown to the Council forces, this area had become a major human base of operations, with substantial defensive capabilities. The Council fleet, comprising 15 vessels, expected to capture a single merchant ship. Instead, they found themselves facing 30 human warships, led by General Singh himself aboard the flagship Retribution. "Council vessels. This is General Rajiv Singh of the United Earth Defense Force," he transmitted. "You have violated sovereign human territory. Withdraw immediately." The Vul commander's response was predictably arrogant. "Human, your species exists on Council sufferance. There is no sovereign human territory. Stand down and prepare to be boarded." General Singh's smile was cold. "I was hoping you'd say that." The battle that followed was brief, but decisive. The human fleet employed temporal phase disruptors to neutralize the Council vessels without destroying them, a show of both technological prowess and restraint that would have significant diplomatic implications. As the disabled Council ships drifted, powerless, General Singh could have claimed a total victory. But at that moment, Mara Lin's diplomatic efforts bore unexpected fruit. A transmission cut through the battle chatter, originating from Council space. "General Singh, this is Matriarch Solera of the Altarians. What you do next will determine humanity's place in the galaxy for generations to come." The transmission was being broadcast not just to the human fleet, but across all Council communication channels. Matriarch Solera had seized the moment to force a public reckoning with the interdiction policy. General Singh hesitated, his finger hovering over the command that would begin the boarding and capture of the Council vessels. Mara's voice came through on a private channel from Earth. "General, we have an opportunity here that transcends military victory. This is being watched by every Council species." After a tense moment, General Singh nodded. "Matriarch Solera, humanity has demonstrated its capacity to defend itself. We have also shown restraint. The Council vessels are disabled but intact, their crews unharmed. We seek not conquest but recognition. Recognition of our right to exist freely among the stars. What followed was unprecedented in Council history. A direct negotiation in the aftermath of battle, broadcast throughout Council space. Matriarch Celera, speaking for a growing faction within the Council, proposed an immediate end to the interdiction and the beginning of normalized relations with humanity. The Vul and several other hardline species objected strenuously, but the tide had turned. The spectacle of human ships disabling, rather than destroying their opponents, followed by an offer of medical assistance to the very crews that had come to capture them, created a powerful narrative that resonated with many Council species. 6 months later, Mara Lynn found herself once again in the crystalline Council chamber on Aetheris Prime. This time, however, she came not as a petitioner, but as the representative of a sovereign power, the newly formalized Terran Alliance, encompassing Earth and its growing family of colony worlds. The Council recognizes the representative of the Terran Alliance, intoned the new Chancellor, Matriarch Celera, whose faction had gained ascendancy in the wake of the Cyclopean Rift incident. Mara stepped onto the central dais, which now remained level with the Council platforms, a subtle but significant acknowledgement of equal status. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice steady. 6 years ago, I stood in this chamber and was told that humanity had no place among the stars. Today, I return to prove that judgment wrong, not through force, though we have demonstrated our capacity for self-defense, but through the very qualities you once feared, our adaptability, our innovation, and our determination. She activated a holographic display showing the expansion of human space since the interdiction, not just in territory but in technological development. The dark matter drive has revolutionized interstellar travel, she continued. Our terraforming techniques have reclaimed worlds once thought uninhabitable. Our quantum neural interfaces have created new forms of sentient cooperation between humans and our AI partners. All these advancements, ironically, were accelerated by the very interdiction meant to contain us. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, but they were different now, curious rather than hostile, intrigued rather than fearful. Humanity does not seek admission to the Council, Mara declared, causing a stir of surprise. We come instead to propose a new relationship, an alliance between equals. The Terran Alliance will maintain its sovereignty and its right to self-determination. In return, we offer partnership in exploration, scientific exchange, and mutual defense. Chancellor Celera's luminous form brightened. You speak boldly, Representative Lind. Some might say presumptuously. I speak truthfully, Mara replied. The galaxy is vast, with threats and opportunities beyond the current reach of either humanity or the Council. Together, we can achieve more than either could alone. What followed was 3 days of intense negotiation. As the structure of this unprecedented arrangement took shape, the Council had never before dealt with a non-member power as an equal, and many procedural questions had to be resolved. Throughout it all, Mara remained firm on the core principle: humanity would not surrender its independence. On the final day, as the agreement neared completion, Mara faced unexpected opposition from a surprising source, General Singh, who had accompanied her as military advisor. This agreement leaves too many vulnerabilities, he argued during a private consultation. The Vul and their allies have merely been outvoted, not convinced. They will look for any opportunity to undermine us. You're right, Mara acknowledged. But this agreement isn't the end of our vigilance. It's the beginning of a new phase. We maintain our military development, our independent colonies, our technological research. But we also gain access to Council knowledge, trade routes, and diplomatic channels. And when the Vul decide that the agreement is inconvenient, the general pressed. Mara's expression hardened. Then they will find that humanity has not forgotten how to defend itself, but we will not sabotage peace out of fear of future conflict. In the end, the Terran Council Accord was ratified by 14 of the 18 Council species, a significant majority, though short of unanimity. The Vul Imperative, predictably, led the opposition, joined by 3 minor species within their sphere of influence. As Mara prepared to return to Earth with the signed accord, Matriarch Solera requested a private audience. "You have achieved something remarkable," the Altarian said, her luminous form pulsing with what Mara had learned to recognize as admiration. "When you were first interdicted, I believed I had failed by not preventing a grave injustice. Now I see that what appeared to be failure was merely part of a larger pattern." "What pattern is that?" Mara asked. "The pattern of growth through challenge. Had humanity been admitted to the Council 6 years ago, you would have been bound by our protocols, subject to our limitations. The interdiction, harsh though it was, forced your species to find its own path, a path that has now brought you back to us, not as supplicants but as equals." Mara considered this. "An interesting perspective, though I'm not sure the millions who suffered during the isolation would find it comforting." "Perhaps not," Solera acknowledged. "Yet, consider this. In the 4,000 years of Council history, no species has ever developed as rapidly as humanity has since the interdiction. You have compressed centuries of advancement into half a decade. The question that now concerns many of my colleagues is, where will humanity be in another 6 years?" "That," Mara replied with a small smile, "depends greatly on how this new partnership unfolds." Upon her return to Earth, Mara found a civilization transformed. The Sol system had become the center of a burgeoning interstellar nation, with massive orbital construction facilities and research stations circling not just Earth, but every planet from Mercury to Neptune. Governor Ortiz, now officially styled President of the Terran Alliance, welcomed her in the Grand Chamber of the Orbital Governance Platform, a vast space station in Earth orbit that served as humanity's new capital. "The Council has ratified the accord," Mara reported to the assembled leadership. 14 species in favor, 4 opposed. "We are now officially recognized as a sovereign power, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails." "And the restrictions?" General Singh asked pointedly. "Minimal," Mara assured him. "We maintain full control over our military development, colonial expansion, and technological research. The only significant limitations involve shared regions of space and protocols for first contact with new species." President Ortiz nodded approvingly. "This is more than we could have hoped for when we were first cast out. Our isolation has ended, but our independence remains absolute." In the years that followed, the Terran Alliance expanded rapidly, establishing new colonies and developing technologies that increasingly surpassed those of many Council species. The dark matter drive evolved into a revolutionary propulsion system that allowed human ships to traverse the galaxy with unprecedented speed and efficiency. The quantum neural interfaces pioneered by Lieutenant Commander Voss became the foundation for a new form of human-AI partnership that many Council species found both fascinating and disturbing. Most significantly, humanity's approach to governance, adaptive, decentralized, and innovation-focused, began to influence reform movements within the Council itself. The rigid protocols that had governed interstellar relations for millennia were increasingly questioned, particularly by younger generations across multiple species. 10 years after the initial interdiction, Mara Lin stood on the observation deck of the research outpost orbiting Kepler 442b, watching the twin suns set over the human colony below. The settlement, named Phoenix, had grown from a struggling outpost to a thriving city of over 1 million people, a symbol of humanity's resilience and adaptability. President Ortiz joined her at the viewport, her once dark hair now streaked with silver. "Quite the view," she said, echoing their conversation from a decade earlier. "Worth fighting for," Mara agreed. The council delegation arrives tomorrow, the president reminded her. The Vul representative has requested a private meeting with you beforehand. Mara raised an eyebrow. Interesting. The Vul have been our most consistent opponents. Perhaps they're finally recognizing reality. The latest reports show that human-controlled or allied territory now exceeds that of any single council species. Even the Vul must adapt eventually. Mara nodded thoughtfully. A decade ago, they cast us out, thinking to contain what they feared. Instead, they created exactly what they sought to prevent: a human-led power capable of challenging the Council's dominance. Not challenging, President Ortiz corrected. Transforming. The Altarian Reform Initiative, the Kith Technological Exchange Program, the new Open Colonial Policy, all influenced by our example. We're not replacing the Council. We're changing it from the outside. And from within, Mara added. Nueva Terra's application for independent council membership is gaining support. If approved, they'll be the first human world to have representation in both our alliance and the council. President Ortiz smiled. A fitting symbol of the new order we're building. Not domination, not isolation, but interconnection on our own terms. As the last light of the twin suns faded, leaving the viewport filled with stars, Mara reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. The interdiction, meant to be their ending, had instead been a beginning, a crucible that had forged a stronger, more unified, more innovative human civilization than might otherwise have emerged. What do you think happens next? President Ortiz asked quietly. Mara gestured toward the stars. Out there, beyond the reaches of both human and council space, lie mysteries and challenges we've barely begun to comprehend. Facing them will require the best qualities of all sentient species, council and human alike. And will we face them together or apart? That, Mara said, echoing her words to Matriarch Solera years earlier, depends greatly on how our partnership continues to unfold. But I believe we've proven something essential: that adversity, when met with determination and vision, doesn't diminish us. It reveals what we're truly capable of becoming. As night fell completely over the colony below, lights began to appear. Millions of them, each representing lives and dreams that had nearly been extinguished by the Council's fear. Those lights, spreading across the surface of a world that had once been deemed uninhabitable, stood as testament to humanity's indomitable spirit. A spirit that had not merely survived exile, but had transformed it into the foundation of a new era for human civilization among the stars. In the distance, a ship's engines flared as it departed the orbital station, bound for new worlds yet to be explored. Humanity's journey had only just begun.